come to this classroom. So, with our personnel, we are process of continuing to create positions in this mountain life. So we're still looking for a business administrative manager as well. So some bus drivers, we have a position open at Lybrook as well. So we're really working on getting all of those addressed, and the contracts are pretty much all taken care of. So the 4 that are pending have been resolved. We do have all of our school vehicles and our buses that have been assessed, and we have an individual, a mechanic, that has done the assessment and has told us what repairs need to be done on the school vehicles and also all the buses in Lybrook and also here. One of the issues that we're wanting to make sure is that we get the repairs done as quickly as possible and get them safely back on the road. And the mechanic that we do have is very, very conscientious of all of that. So we are putting a lot of confidence in his ability to get those, to get our thing up and running in a safe manner. Our teacher housing, we are working on that. The house, I believe it was number 4, that was in really bad condition, is almost completed, where we have to have it completely renovated. So it's near completion and will be ready for occupancy hopefully by either the end of this month or early next month. The house in Lindred is also being renovated as well. And we are in the process of making sure that all of the houses that we do have are the repairs that are needed are being brought to our attention, so we can go ahead and make sure that those get addressed as well. But those are the major ones, and once all of those get done, then we will have approximately 3 houses that will be available, and we will probably end up using all 3 houses for teachers. We have a social studies teacher that will need a house, and we have 2 other teachers we're waiting for to come in to work at Lybrook. And so we will also need housing for them as well. So we're trying to get those up and running. Yesterday, Mr. Padilla and also Ms. Cordova and I went to Milwaukee Mobile Home Sales and talked to Ms. Nubia Gonzalez. She gave us proposals for mobile homes for 2 and 3 bedrooms, and she's still working on looking for single or a 1-bedroom mobile home for us to put a proposal together as well. And those proposals have been included in your packets as handouts, and we just got those yesterday. She had them up the office. So we do have those. And right now, Jeremy is making sure that he is working with Able to make sure that all of the renovations are completed, and he's also helping where he can with his staff. And then with the grants, we're continuing to work with Sutherland and aligning our grants to our budgets. And right now we have a meeting scheduled on Thursday with Sutherland to go over each grant to exactly uh, what our what our budget is with it and what we need to do to address each one to get into compliance with all of it. And I just listed down grants that I became aware of that the school district is utilizing here. And hopefully after our meeting on Thursday, I'll be able to provide some more information on the breakdown of programs and the alignment to the budget and also to the staffing. And we also have the we have two different CTE grants. One is non-traditional, and we have 20,000 in that one. And then we have the redistribution grant, which is 35,000. And those two grants are ones that Ms. Gallegos has written for, and she is implementing those two grants as well. So we are working with her and also with Ms. Lopez Trujillo on the pre-K program, because that also is a grant that was written for as well. So we're working on it right now, and our pre-K school administrator for that program is Mr. Brian Hoffett. He'll be working closely with Lopez Trujillo and implementing that. And lastly, I did mention that we're continuing to reestablish our budget, and I did receive the token today, but I was not able to get it set up because I do not have a username and I don't have a password. And they told me I would need to get the username and password from the administrator that's here in the district that could assign that to me, which would be our former superintendent or our business manager. And since we don't have both of them available, I contacted Cuba Wells Fargo to get further assistance from them so that I can go ahead and get that accessible to me. And so I didn't receive a call back. So tomorrow I'll call back to the office and see if I can get information from them. And the person that I was referred to when I called was Lori. And she wasn't available because she was busy with her customers. So I wasn't able to get any information from her. So I'll call back tomorrow. So very quickly, that is my report.
I have a question. Driving the bus in library.
Have we advertised for the budget? Have we scheduled a time or a visit from Northern? We have that trade program, community college with them.
So what is the enrollment? This campus enrollment?
All the positions mostly filled that we had, all the vacancies.
Ones that are vacant is Lydra. We had two EAs, one got filled, so we still have one more. And the other position, once they get their two EAs, they're filled. And then here we are still looking for the social studies position to be filled, and that is in process right now. So once that gets filled, then the Coronado campus will have all of their staff.
Thank you. Moving to business office. Is she online?
Reese, are you there?
Yes, sorry, I can't hear Mr. V Hill, so I wasn't sure if he was adjusting. The audio isn't very good.
Okay.
Yes, I think you all received copies of the written report that I sent to each of you, and I'll just kind of highlight the high points there. Just kind of giving you a synopsis of what we've been doing the last couple of months and where we are in some of the processes. We did get all the budgets entered. This is what we were trying to work on for 24, 25. We did get the reimbursements for grants submitted timely. That was quite a challenge. There had only been 3 submitted throughout the year for reimbursement, so we were trying to gather backup for submitting reimbursements for the grants, and you have to submit a lot of documentation with it. So that was taking up a lot of our time, as well as the staff trying to locate documents. We were able to get them in on time. However, some of the expenses were not allowed due to not having the proper documentation. So we're going to be doing some training on what documentation needs to be preserved and kept for each of the grants so that we can submit those requests for reimbursements on a timely basis, which will be monthly is our goal, so we can keep our cash flow going. Because we did have the RFRs submitted, even though it was to the deadline, they weren't submitted until June. So therefore, the payments are just now starting to come in. So our cash was very low on June 30th due to just outstanding receivables from the grants that hadn't come in. You do have to have in your operational fund enough cash to cover any cash deficits that you have in your grants. And we did have most of those that had deficits. We did luckily have enough cash in the 11,000 fund to cover those deficits. And I'll go over that cash report with you when I get to the finances so that you can see how that impacts the different cash report. Bank access, as Dr. Carroll's mentioned, we're still working on that. We did get her set up. She just needs to get a username and a password, and she should be getting an email regarding that process. Hopefully to respond, they'll give her a temporary username and password, and then she can change it and be able to sign in. When that happens, we can then begin doing all our wire transfers that are required for employee benefits on a monthly basis. So we've been requesting special permission to send them in those payments in as checks. And so far, they've been pretty patient with us, but they did tell us that the August payments must be done by wire. So we're on a kind of deadline to get that done. So we have made progress though. So once Dr. Carroll gets that permission, then we can start approving those. We'll need, she and I both will need to approve the wires. So I have access and we're waiting for her access. The other thing that's taken that we've been working on, of course, as you know, we got the school calendars developed and were submitted to PED for approval. Salary schedules were done and put into the system. The budget has been set up and visions for the new year. All the grants budgets were submitted and have been approved. We are working now on looking at the manual of procedures in the finance and assessing policies, processes, and procedures that we can identify to kind of improve the process. Our plan is to, once things settle down after school gets going, is that we plan to have a committee of end users for all of our processes so that we can get feedback on what works, what doesn't work, what are their challenges. The last thing we want to do is make it harder for people to do their job in a process. So we're going to be evaluating those processes and procedures and getting some feedback from the end users that actually are the ones that are using those processes and trying to access central office services. So I stand for any questions. I do have one more issue to bring up, but as far as this report, if I stand for any questions.
So I have one. We claim for the lunch counts for May and June.
Pardon, I didn't understand, Mr. Vihel.
This is Mr. Portal.
I couldn't understand your question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was asking it putting the claim for the lunch counts for May and June.
We did receive our reimbursements for the lunches, yes, in May and June.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Question, were we going to get a list of the employee reimbursements that we had discussed in the last meeting? We just had Avid employee reimbursement, and we wanted a list of who we were paying out to. I didn't see it in this report.
On the disbursements reports, I double checked. I thought they had the employee name on them this time for June, and at least for July, I know I checked the box to include those. So you should see some employee names on those for reimbursement.
So for the previous reimbursements for the previous month, we didn't have those names for the Avid training.
I think you have them for June. Okay, I think you have them for June and July, but I didn't go back and run them for May, and I can do that. I'm sorry, I didn't do that for May.
I believe it was just for June. I only seen one for July. And I believe it was Mr. Frank Chuckwon is the one that I saw.
for July.
I believe it was July. I'm trying to find that highlight.
To see, like on the first page of the disbursement detail listing for June, before on that first page where it says per diem for Amelia Collins, prior that would have just said employee account, and now it has their name. Same on page 2 for the disbursement listing, it'll have the name for reimbursement for per diem. The prior reports would just have employee. It wouldn't have the person's name.
Okay.
The second issue, if it's okay, Mr. Cordova, was to discuss the ed tech note. I'm not sure if Mr. Vigil had a chance to speak with you regarding the request from PED and from our bond advisor to consider whether or not the district is interested in issuing any ed tech note. And
But
I can go over that process if you would like right now, just to bring you up to speed. There has to be a decision if we're interested. They're going to be setting the tax rates tomorrow, but we need to get a feel for if that's something the district would be interested in doing, and if so, we need to get the tax rates set by PED. I know that the district had issued ed tech notes in the past. I'm not sure how many years ago that was, but there was an account set up for it in the past. So I know that there has been some notes issued. But what happens is that if the district decides that they need a certain amount of money for ed tech, and that can be used for anything regarding technology, which would be any kind of support, any wiring, network cabling, Starlink, computers, anything to do with technology, the money can be used for. You can set an amount, say you do $250,000 that the district thinks that would cover their needs. You can go up to $1 million. The tax rate would increase, and what they would start being collected in December. And then whatever amount the district had available in that account in June, they could issue the tech notes and then turn around, because you have the cash on hand already, turn around and pay those notes off, or you can set it up for five-year payment as well. The issuance of the tech notes does not require voter approval. It requires only board approval. And an example would be that if you had a resident, say you have a house or a property that's worth $120,000, you're only taxed at a third of that value. So if we did 250,000 and the rate would be 1.073 mil, your taxes would be $43 for 1 year on that $120,000 house. The majority of the tax base for us, Jemez Mountain, is oil and gas. So they would be the ones that would be paying more of the cash into the fund than the actual residential homeowner. It would be the tax and oil and gas. Because it's so volatile, that's why they're recommending that if you want to do ed tech notes, that we say that we're going to set the amount now, have them set the rate, and collect the money so that we know how much we're going to have in June and can set the amount of the note based on that, rather than saying we're going to do it and then start collecting the money not knowing about oil and gas. So basically it's putting the money aside to then issue the ed tech note and pay them for them then. So I know it's a complicated issue and it's not simple. We're right up to the last minute to be able to set the tax rate. If it's not something that you feel comfortable doing this year, we can start working on enough at the beginning of next year for the following year tax rate and have more of an education on the system. So I just need to get a feel from the board if that's something that you feel is a need in the district, and if you feel that you want to impose that 1.73 tax rate to collect the money for the note.
I just feel like it's just too short a notice for us to make that decision right now. We'd have to discuss it. I don't know how the rest of the work. So yeah, we'll agree. Go ahead, Ms. Dr.
I would recommend that we go ahead and consider the ed tech notes for next school year, because one of the statements that Ms. Sutherland made is that this has not been done for a few years. So with all due respect to everyone that would be involved in making this decision, I think it would be best if more research were done on it and prepare for the next school year.
I agree. The board agrees on this. We'll just wait till next year.
Okay, I will pass that information along, and in the meantime, we'll schedule some educational presentations by Mr. Valdez, who is the district's bond advisor, and I'll let PED know that we're passing on this tax rate for this tax year.
Okay. Thank you.
And then I will present.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I will present the rest of the finance documents down below when we're going over the committee.
Okay. Moving on to Principal Baina Campus. Oh.
Test. Okay. Before I start, one of my new teachers came. His name's Mr. Oaf. Can you stand up, sir? He's our PE teacher that goes between us and Liebrook, and he lives up in the schoolhouse. So appreciate you coming. Thank you. First, real quick, I'm sure you hear this all the time, but you really do have great students here. I'm just surprised in all the years I've been in education. I was telling my staff, I haven't heard one cuss word yet. That's just, our kids are very respectful, very nice. And, I don't know, the staff over where I work are really good too. So we're in the process of hiring a social studies teachers. We pretty much got it nailed down. We just got to go through a couple things and get the schoolhouse. This year's schedule, when I came in, Dr. Carol and I talked, I don't really like using Excelis. I'm not one of those people who likes computer programs. I think that sometimes they serve a purpose, but that's more for like credit recovery or summer school. So we're not doing any of that this year. And all of our student schedules are being aligned through Avid and our CTE classes, like Dr. Carroll said. I went to Avid. I got trained in about 4 years ago, but it's kind of changed. And, if you guys ask me to sum it up, it's student success. It's just making kids successful. So we'll continue that. So what's new is, I know there's some people out there about preschool. We're working on it. Right now they're doing homeschool visits. The room's pretty much set up. So goal is to start fairly soon. I don't have a date yet. But there's a lot of things we got to do with the grant. Mr. Heel went to a meeting Friday and just met with her today, and there's a lot of things that we got to make sure we do because it's a $1.3 million grant. The funny thing is there's only 3 schools that got it. So that means they're going to be out to visit us. So we want to make sure we do everything right. The one thing I want to thank Dr. Carroll for is I don't know if you noticed that if you walk in our school now, we're actually putting the old pictures up of all the graduating classes. It's really neat. All the kids come by and they're saying, "Look, Mr. Lima, this is mine." So it's kind of cool. I'm really glad that you did that. We had our first senior citizen breakfast. It's wherever I go, I always do it once a month. And the reason I do senior citizens because that's the one group that gets forgot about in all of our things we do. So we had about 15 show up. Our BPA students self-serve, and I conned my wife to help cook, and so did Donna Vasquez cook. So it went really well. Gave a lot of food away, and the goal is to try to get 30 people to come. Right now we had 15. The goal will be try to get 30, and we're going to do it once a month. But it was pretty successful. Athletics started Monday. We had a meeting today. We have 13 high school girls, and I think 8 middle school, and cross country's got a ton. I think it's 22. We're still working on physicals right now. We're supposed to have physicals tomorrow. The nurse told me that they're going to be set back a week. So, but it's really important. Kids got to have physicals. They can't just walk out. That's the rule. So, internships are being set up by Mr. Manick and Ms. Gallegos in class, doing different things with kids. Classes have all been assigned due to preschool and culinary arts, so we have no room left. It's the way it is over there, but it's good. So it's good, your school. And now NEWA testing. I don't know if you're familiar with NEWA testing. You might have heard it called MAP testing. That's what I'm going to use our baseline studies on. That's called a norm reference test. And one thing I'll tell you, most administrators won't tell you this, but if our grades don't go up, you should not blame teachers. You should blame me. That's my job. Because if a teacher's not doing their job and I'm allowing them to do it, that's on me. It's not. I mean, it is on them. It's on me first. So I won't make excuses. We will do a MAP test, and I'll come in and I'll give you a pretty in-depth report so you know where you're at. And then when we test again, I do a graph, and it'll show either they're doing their jobs or not. And that's just empirical data. It's not me for or against teachers. This is how it is. But our kids need to learn. That's not acceptable. Looking at our data right now, it's not acceptable. Sorry, it's just not. So, 82% of our students are eating breakfast, 91% are eating lunch. I'm glad you added about attendance because I was really curious because I did a prediction because last year I think you were about 106, 105, and I predicted about 105. We're at about 104, 105 right now, but that's the kicker is that's with 13 preschool kids added in. Now you're wondering why, but here's your problem. This kindergarten class only has 2 kids. If you graduated, I think 10. So right away you were down 8. So I kind of did a prediction. We're right where I thought we'd be. And I went clear back to 2019. And you guys were a little bigger then. You shrunk a little bit, but I think I've kind of looked at, I think you guys have reached your lowest point you'll go. Right now, I know we only lost 2 kids, and we might have gained 2 kids today. I'll let you guys. The parents called me, and I'll see how that goes. You know how that goes. But I was really curious on attendance too, because I was like, when I first took the job, when I looked at stars, it was like 180 kids, and I was like, there's no way it's not that. But then I figured out that's with the library district. So total enrollment's about 104 right now. Staff and coaches, we're recruiting. I really think athletics are important, or anything. Kids in anything are important. The more they're involved, the more control I have over them, the better they are in classes. So, all PE classes are scheduled for Gomez Gym. That's a really nice gym we have here, and we don't want to use it just. And it's only going to be used for sports. So kind of what's new. I kind of went over all that. And then the last thing I kind of want to go over is data. I do a lot of walkthroughs, and a walkthrough it's it's a quick evaluation. It's usually 4 to 7 minutes, and it's things I see right now. All I've seen is good things. I'm really big on a lot of research based. You can see I'm seeing a lot of authentic engagement, corrective feedback, differential learning, and one thing is, if you ever heard a guy named Bob Marzano, he talks about effective relationships. And if you walk in the morning, our kids and our teachers have really good interactions. So that's kind of neat. And I really like the focus feedback. Those are things that I'm seeing right now that are good. But again, I want you to understand is if our scores don't look, it's not me, it's not our teachers. My job is I'm the instructional leader, and that's what you hired me for. So hopefully we will do better. We have to. It's not acceptable what we're doing now. But it's for a lot of reasons. It's not one reason in general. So if you guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Oh yeah. They got approved. Yeah, we just got since I've been here, all I do is get bad news from Ed. But we got a really good news today. We got our school safety plan was approved. I just walked in and Dr. Carroll handed it to me. So yeah. And if you deal with Ped, I don't know if some of you deal with Ped, they're just like, but I was nice to open up my thing and say congratulations instead of saying, oh, you didn't do this. So anyway, anything else on this? Okay. And like I said, we're going to have, I think it's September 13th. Could help us out trying to get senior citizens there. Because again, that's the one of all of our stakeholders. That's the one we don't use enough. And and a lot of times I've always found out that they're the ones that help with bake sales. They're the ones that buy stuff for kids. So we got to honor them. All right. Have a good night. Thank you.
None. JMF. Very short. So I'll leave you all.
That's all right. Can you hear me?
Good evening. So I want to start off with staffing. So as Dr. Carroll said, we're pretty much fully staffed right now. We're just waiting for a couple of our teachers to arrive. We do. We're still looking for a bus driver. Hopefully that's going to get done soon. Our EAs, we actually hired one today. The other one that's open, I've been doing reference checks. I just need one more to contact one more person, and hopefully that'll be done tomorrow. And then we'll submit the recommendation to hire. So hopefully by the end of the week we'll have everyone filled in. The building, again, the temporary repairs that were done on the roof by Jeremy and them. We've had plenty of rain, so no leaks at this time. So hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully it'll stay that way. Mr. Yazzie continues working, doing small repairs, cleaning the building. Enrollment as of today, this morning, we're a total of 58. So pre-K, we got 5 pre-K students registered. We got 10 K1 students. We got 16 in 2-3 class. We got 9 4 5, and then 6 7 and 8 in middle school. We got 18 of total of 50. So, and I know that Miss Kitso has been calling parents of those students that have not yet showed up to school. And right now we're hoping by tomorrow. I know we got a tomorrow, but they didn't have that inspired. So I think we're slowly kind of getting to where we were last year. We got a open house scheduled for August 28th at Lightbrook, and that's going to be from 4 to 7. Miss Vigil and I, last week we went and visited with PMS, with the school-based health center, and we're trying to get some social work for them to go provide for our kids at Lightbrook. So the meeting went pretty positive, I thought, and they're going to be working on MOA to this mountain and Lightbrook. So we're hoping that that's going to get done pretty soon. So they'll be invited and they'll attend the open house on August 20th. We got some safety scheduled for September 13th, and that's through POMS. And that's where we're gonna go over our lockdown drills, our shelter in place, our evacuation, how to kind of fortify your classroom with teachers. Then we're gonna work on a follow up where they'll come back and we'll do a lockdown shelter in place with students. We want to kind of get the teachers kind of understand the process and get the kids involved. This Dr. Carroll mentioned curriculum. We ordered some new curriculum for middle school social studies. In fact, it's in today. We're waiting for middle school science, and then we're getting the recap math K5. So we're still waiting on that. Fire drills. We did one last week. I one for this week, and we'll continue doing them to do four fire drills the first month, and then we'll do one a month after that. We did provide some professional development with thinking maps last week, and teaching our teachers how to keep them strategies and teaching multi-age classrooms. Athletics, we're signing up students. Today we put up some sign-up sheets for volleyball, and hopefully we can get some cross country. We had an applicant for the coaching position, so we're trying to this week. Hopefully we can get that going as soon as possible. Mr. Muffet attended a meeting last Friday to get our school again involved in four corners of that. So I'll enjoy that again this year. That's all I got right now for now. Start with questions. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number. Mr.
For the parents, do you guys feel like some of your concerns have been met, or we're moving towards meeting some of those concerns that were raised within the last few months? Or I know there's still progress, but do you have any suggestions on how we can better communicate that, or the changes, or what we're working on, so the parents know?
Go ahead and address your comment. As far as the parent committees go, and temporary suspensions on that is due to the incident. And we are working, the Mountain Nation is one that did state they wanted to work on that. They are doing some research on clarifying all of that due to the severity of the event that occurred. And we are also I have not met with any of the parents or discuss anything yet with them, only because of the fact that we are still in the fact-finding process. And rather than jump the gun and make decisions and have a conversation with them that may not put us in a good light of things, I want to make sure that we do have all of our research completed, and the investigation is still ongoing right now. And so because of that, we're looking at teacher situation, the parent situation, and also the student situation. So there's 3 layers that we're having to look at, and that's what I'm dealing with. So right now, I've already consulted some individuals in how I need to go forward with all of this. And so right now, that's what we're standing with that. And I would feel more comfortable having to meet with parents once I have all of this information and we know what the decision is to go forward. And so there are legal issues that are involved in this, and there are liability issues that did occur in that whole situation. So because of the seriousness of all of this, then we can't just move forward like nothing happened. We have to make sure that all of these issues that occurred are addressed so that we don't have to deal with them in the future, and we know how to move forward with that whole situation, because it did have a great impact on our school district. And so the severity of all of that affected teachers, it affected some staff, and it also affected students and also parents. And with some of the individuals that did come to me and discuss this with me, I am fully aware of the impact that it had on them. But most of all, the bottom line is that we could easily be legally liable if we're not careful in the investigation of all of this and getting it completed the way we need to. So that's where we're at. And as far as keeping individuals in the dark, I would say we are not at that point. And I do have a schedule where I will be here at Guyena campus 2 days a week, and I will be down at Libra, at Libra 2 days a week. And that's all dependent upon what is scheduled for me for those days. So tomorrow actually is the day that I will be going down to Libra, and I will be there. And last week I went 1 day, and I did meet with some staff members, and there were a few children there. And I have been going down maybe once or twice a week before school even started, to check on the student enrollment, to see where we're at, and also to check on curriculum and all the things we need to get the school up and running. So, as far as my presence being there, it has been consistent before school started, and now that school has started, all of these other issues that we need to deal with, I have been at a limited time to be down there. However, like I said, tomorrow my plan is to be down there all day. So it's not like they're being ignored. They may feel that only because they're not there every day 24 within the 8-hour period of school time. Whereas if I'm there and they're not there, then I don't get to meet with the parents that want to talk. So I did receive email information about the parent committee wanting to meet with me. However, I wasn't able to meet with them only because of the fact that there were some legal issues that I had been working on, and I did not did not feel that it was the right time to discuss anything with them. And so right now, I can honestly tell you that my intent is to call parent committee members in with JOM, and it would be with the Navajo Nation. That was their request before, that we all have a meeting with them. And the other parent committee that serves with the Indian Education parent committee, that's basically the same thing. Now, the individuals that participate on these parent committees are pretty much the same individuals for all of these committees. So right now, that's where I'm at with this.
I appreciate you sharing that information, Dr. Carroll. I guess my concern outside of what's happened is to make sure that on the broader level, parents and students are getting information that they need outside of as the community has nobody being that we're feeling that communication separate from obviously when it's under us.
And the other thing I just want to also mention is the fact that one of the individuals that was running for the president position, the chapter president position, counselor, did meet with some of the board members at the last meeting, and she was running for that position. I don't know who the new chapter president is right now. I don't know if they've had their voting already completed, but she did extend her hand out to us to go ahead and become an active participant as far as being a partner in our efforts to provide quality education to the students. So I have not met anybody yet, and times that I've gone to Live Brook and I wanted to stop there at the chapter house, nobody has been there. And I have been informed that everybody in the council chapter house had been either let go or they all resigned. So there's a whole new group of people that are going to be going in, and until they get situated, then we'll be able to establish a partnership.
Moving on to number 4, JMS Hughes update.
Good evening, everybody. Just as far as JM Fuse is concerned, we really don't have any kind of updates at this point. I just want to thank the district for having a continued positive working relationship with us, and just to continue with a wonderful, hopefully a wonderful school year. Thank you.
Moving on, student health update. Yep.
Good evening, members of the board.
Okay. Um, I only submitted one section, and that was the COVID update, but I meant to put all of this in the packet, so I apologize for that. I wanted to share with you, I did provide a health services newsletter district-wide now in August, and you do have a copy of that, and it was given out to the parents and to the students as well, and we posted it on the school website. And I was hoping it was on Facebook, but I'm not sure. So yeah, on that newsletter, it shows the schedule for the district nurse and for the health assistant, where we will be during the week. I posted our information, our phone numbers. I listed our health partners that we are working with so that the parents are aware of who will be coming into the schools. So we are partners with Las Clínicas del Norte, and they provide services such as physicals, behavioral health services, dental services. We are in the process, Mr. Hawkes and I, are to try to get Presbyterian Medical as a partner. They did come in last week to Liebrook to provide immunizations to our students, and that was very successful. The public health nurse from PMS was there for 2 days. We are partners with Luciente, who are they're the ones that provide the daily snacks to our students district-wide as well. We work with New Mexico Department of Health. I do have school health advocate that works with Department of Health, who is also another boss of mine. So not only do I have to go through Dr. Carroll and the principals and the board, I also have to go through Department of Health. They provide me with all the standing orders that I have to follow within the school district. And also New Mexico PED, I have to as well consult with them. And then just in the back, just some reminders for the parents, what they need for the school year. What else? Let's see. I am also assisting Ms. Gallegos in teaching health careers class for the sophomores. And it'll be a first aid, CPR, and AED certification course. It is a semester long, and it goes into a lot of EMS detail. It's not just very basic, it goes into a lot of detail. And so I will be doing that in the mornings before I head out to any of my other schools. Also, my health assistant, Miss Glenda Collins, she will also be doing the homeless liaison position this year, district-wide as well, and above, and also providing health services on top of that. Let's see, Mr. Hawkes went over that we are talking with PMS to try to provide more services out in Liebrook. So we're in the process of doing that. Let's see what else. You got a copy of the COVID update. There has been no changes. The only thing that I changed, and I believe you all saw it at a board meeting last school year, but I don't remember what month that was. What I did add was COVID-19 and other respiratory viruses guidance, because every year we have a new, different little virus that affects our students. For example, today, Department of Health just sent me an update that there's a different virus for us to be on the lookout for. And so this covers not only COVID, but it covers all the other communicable respiratory viruses as well. So I wanted you all to have a copy of that. I also wanted to share with you a end of the year report that I wanted to share with you over the summer, but it did not happen. And at the end of this school year, we are required, the Health Services Department is required to submit a report to Department of Health and New Mexico PED, to my other boss, my school health advocate, and bosses within the school system. And it's a lot of data that needs to be collected. And as you can see, at the end of the school year last year, we saw a total of 1,124 students that went into the health office. And those numbers consisted of students that came in with illnesses, injuries, follow-up care injuries, meaning that they might have had an injury over the weekend. They came to see us. Medication that's given daily. Students who have chronic conditions such as asthma, seizures. How many students came in to see us? You'll see also how many students remained in school, how many students were sent home, how many screenings we did. So you could see that we did a total number of 220 screenings. Those screenings include vision, hearing, pediculosis, which means head lice screenings, blood pressure checks. So there's a number of screenings that we do throughout the school year, and then staff encounters. And so I wanted to just kind of share just a brief little bit of data for you so that you can see what our numbers looked like for the school year. So do you all have any questions?
Is there any diabetics?
This year, no.
Okay. It seems like getting diagnosed.
Right. Our numbers, our chronic conditions or our medical conditions are increasing. So we're seeing a lot of students with asthma, some seizures, maybe not type 1 diabetics, but we are seeing more type 2 diabetics. So yeah, we have, and on the data as well, which I share with our administrators, I have to give a number of how many students have all of these medical conditions as well. So and that data is available for all of you to see, and it is with the Department of Health and with New Mexico PED as well.
I would just thank you for this report, but I would just say you could update the procedures. There's a lot of names on that are no longer.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for that. So this was submitted last year, but I will do that and I will get that updated. Thank you for those extra eyes there. Any questions? Thank you.
Moving on to number 6, IT. Sean?
Good evening. So we have a couple projects we're working on right now. One is we're trying to get staff computers, new staff computers, as these ones that we have are getting out of date. And we are also working on getting internal door keyless entries, so we don't have to have the keys around as much. We could just use the cards like we have for the external doors. We currently we're almost done with giving out laptops to students for this year. I had a setback because of we moved the tech room over the summer, so it kind of threw a wrench at the plans of updating all the computers, getting ready before the end of the school year or beginning of the school year. And then I got sick, so last week I kind of fell behind. So we're catching up right now, and I hope to have all the computers out to all the students by the end of the week. That's all I have for the IT update. You guys have any questions? Thank you.
Moving on to maintenance update. Mr. Leo.
Evening, everyone. Tonight for my maintenance update, I have the roofing project here in Gallina. It's finally locked in. Everything is approved, and the projected start date is next week, weather permitting. Start working on the Gallina roof project. Teacher housing update. For everything there. I'll stand for questions at the end for that if there's anything. We've also started working on taking the scrap metal, which is the old biomass, other metal that we've accumulated over the years. Our first load we took in a small trailer, we got approximately $300 that was turned into Miss Veda. She has the wood on that. And also, let's see, for campus in Gallina, we're just working, finishing everybody's situated in. We have pre-K, which we have to modify toilets and urinals to their size. So far, so good here. Let's see, in Lightrook, we have the fencing update. That is finally locked in and all ready to go, and they were projected to be out there within 3 to 5 weeks to start that project. Yes, from today. So they gave me that start date for the project. Campus updates over there, I really don't have much. Everything's pretty good out there. I stand for any questions tonight.
Mr. We have a question. It's got to pay attention that to change the sewer.
Where at?
Really?
Yes, nobody's ever come to me. We've staked and worked on
I don't know.
this.
I was just told. So I didn't go check.
So everybody that is in the teacher's housing, they are advised to send an email to myself for Dr. Carol. We'll address those. Okay. Right, and we do have some issues throughout the year that we do have to stake the sewer over there, but I mean,
I could see happening.
yes, no problem. We'll look into that. Any other questions?
Okay, moving on to number 8, Finance Committee update.
Yes, Mr. Board President and Vice President. We weren't able to schedule a Finance Committee meeting today, but I think the Finance Committee has had the report, and I stand for any questions that any of you have regarding any of the reports that I submitted in your packet. We do have reports for June and also July. Just to high points, we're able to reconcile all the June bank statements. So those have all been done, and the final report for the district has been submitted. If you would like to look at the fourth quarter cash report for PED, that's the report I was talking about that shows the end of the cash balance in each of the funds for the district. Do you all have that report at hand? It says PED cash report for 23-24 fiscal year. It was in the July or June packet, I'm sorry. In the June packet.
Yes.
Okay, when you look at the operational fund, you'll see that there was a balance in actual cash of $793,000 on that report on line 10, the reconciled cash balance. And then you'll see that there was 519,000 of that is subtracted from the cash in order to move into all the other accounts that had negative cash balances. And most of those are the grants. So in other words, the actual cash on hand that is not awaiting for reimbursements is 274,000. So we were barely able to cover the negative balances in the grants while we're waiting for the RFRs. So we want to make sure that next year we're constantly getting the cash in so that we're not stressing about that cash position at the end of June. This is the report that has every fund and all the different grants sorted by federal flow through, direct. If you look down that second half of the first page, you'll see the big grants that we have and how much we're waiting. Basically, it's the federal flow through on the 24,000 when you look under the federal column that had the most outstanding grant payments we're waiting for. That was $507,000. So they covered all the federal flow through that we're waiting for payments from. We were disqualified in the ESSER grant for some major purchases because we did not have the documentation. So those had to be taken out of the ESSER expenditures and actually moved over into operational or into operational to account for those expenditures. In the meantime, though, that freed up. We anticipated having only about $200,000 left in the ESSER fund to bring forward into this school year. However, because those expenditures were disallowed, we now have a bar that you'll be seeing later on in the meeting for approval because the PED is allowing us to rebudget that amount and actually spend that before September 30th. So we didn't lose the funding, we just didn't get it approved for reimbursement for this fiscal year for June 30th, but we will be working with the committee. I guess there was already an ESSER committee established last year, and they had a list already ready to go. So I think we'll be able to move through that and get those funds expended before our deadline of September 30th. So this head report was reconciled and with the bank, and there's no variances. So these are reports that are done quarterly. So I'll be presenting these to you on a quarterly basis for your review. As far as all the other reports, I stand for any questions if you all had a chance to look through those for June and also for July. If the Finance Committee has questions for me or any reports to the board regarding the documents, that would be great.
I have a question. The bank reconciliation report. On the bottom, it says bank statement does not balance, statement cannot be closed. Have these been reconciled and closed?
They have been reconciled, and the reason that those are outstanding to AP and to payroll are that when we do a payroll or pay checks on a monthly basis, we automatically move that money from the operating account over to those accounts to cover those expenditures. However, the process with the bank it's called a Z account, whereby they only use the money and move it from the actual checking account into that account to cover what checks have actually cleared. So you always we've sent over the money from operational into the AP and payroll, the total amount of the check run. However, the bank has only put over in the actual checking, move the cash over as the checks clear. So there's always going to be those outstanding amounts to AP and payroll that owe back that are still So you're always going to have that. And that's why I put that note at the bottom that outstanding ZBA from operational to accounts payable and payroll, and then vice versa. You're going to see that same amount come back to operating. So it's just the function of the way that that we posted in the general ledger. We post the expenditures all to those accounts. However, the bank only moves the cash over as the checks hit the bank. So there's always going to be more cash that was moved into those accounts that on the books than is actually moved from the bank account.
So up here on the cash account where it has question marks and no actual dollar amount.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
On the bank reconciliation report where it says ending date, and below that it says cash account.
Uh-huh.
They're nothing but question marks.
Right. The cash accounts are, it has question marks because it covers all the funds. So if you want to include all the funds in a report in Visions, you put the question marks, and it'll include all your funds. So that's what that means. It's all the funds in the district are included on this cash report, on all of them.
So I was going to ask you in the last board meeting, Library, we asked you about for the bus contractors breaking down their payment to where they're not last 2 or 3 weeks without paycheck. Or at the beginning, we break it maybe smaller paycheck, but they wouldn't go so long without getting paid. Peaceful.
Correct.
Pay their driver through. And you said you do it. I don't know if it happened.
I did send that information to Patricia and to Beta to divide those, to start paying those. So hopefully those will be divided by the number of checks to cover so that you're not waiting for payment.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Going on to audit committee update. Okay, moving on to policies. There's now moving on to discussion and action to be taken. 1, JOM travel out of state, full paid by JOM for JOM staff and parent.
With the JOM travel, the 2 individuals that will be attending is Mr. Archie Buckus and also Ms. Tricia Cordova, since she is working with the JOM federal grants. And we do not have any parent committee members attending that due to the situation with parent. I believe their travel is to Oklahoma. It's in Tulsa. That with that JOM conference, they do provide updated training information on their policies and their procedures, and they have new regulations, and they also provide all of that information. So with that, we're able to keep abreast of what some of the changes are. Don't have that offhand, but it is supposed to be a committee because of the nature of the situation and Johnson O'Malley being our subcontractor. Then we did talk to Dr. Yellowhair, and she is the one that had told us that she was going to be letting us know whether the parent committee would continue. And so at this point, we're working directly with the Mountain Tribe on that.
So by Sandy,
I second.
second, Antoinette, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to next. Purchase or replace a school bus July 15th, 2024. One. Bus number 28, $131,606. Dr. Crow.
Okay, with that, we did provide you the information from Ed where they're allowing us to purchase a bus, and we do have 2 buses that do need to be replaced due to the fact that it is over 10 years old. And so these are the amounts of those 2 buses. And one of the buses is the one at Live Brook, and I believe the other one is here.
Okay, do you have a motion?
I motion.
So moved.
I second.
Motion by Ms. Antoinette, second by Ms. Sandy, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 2 bus number 27, $127,138.
That also, that, I believe that bus is for here at Medina. It's basically to replace it because it's over 10 years old as well.
So what's size passengers?
One of them, I believe the 28 might be the 60 passenger, and the 27 is the 30 passenger. 35.
You have a motion?
Nice.
Motion by Sandy. See all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 3. Tiny Eye Service Agreement, Becca Gibson.
Yes, that is a contractual service agreement through CES. That's for ancillary services. And right now we are having a lot of difficulties trying to get the ancillary staff to be hired to provide services to our students that are in need of those services. We've been working with CES and all of the different agencies within the state to help us to find ancillary staff. And right now, the only ancillary staff we're able to get is speech therapy. And speech therapy is not even going to be in person. It's going to be provided through the Zoom process. And so it's going to be virtual. And so that is going to continue until we can find a live person to be here on campus to provide those services, while we're also looking for the other ancillary staff. And CES is really working very closely with us to try to find all of the ancillary staff they need.
Motion. Motion by Ms. Antoinette. Second, Sandy, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on, budget journal entries. Discussion of approval of bars. Number one, document ID 056-000-2425-000-2-1.
Yes, this bar is what I referred to earlier is the amount of money that we're going to increase the budget for 24-25 for the cash that we carried forward into the new year. So this is the difference in what we budgeted and what our cash actually ended up being at June 30th due to those unallowed expenditures. So they've allowed us to do a bar to adjust our budget and allow us to spend that this year before September 30th.
So the total is that $559,845.17.
Correct.
Okay, so it's just only one bar.
Correct.
By Ms. Sandy. Second by Ms. Lucy. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on, executive session.
Executive session notice is hereby given so that Hemmes Mountain Public School Board of Education will meet in executive session pursuant to section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, limited personnel matters specifically so that the board can discuss and legal counsel can advise regarding personnel matters. How do we vote? Yes. Sandy, yes.
Okay, we will be going to executive session at 10:30.